What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. Today we are going to take a look, specifically at two different teams and how we could potentially see a trade that is suitable for both sides. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest rumors around John Gibson, the goaltender for the Anaheim Ducks. He's been there for a couple years, and his trade value has been kind of interesting because I would argue he had one of the higher trade values for players and goaltending over the last couple years. Was seen as an elite goaltender, but things have definitely fallen off for John Gibson recently, and unfortunately it's kind of left it in a situation where he probably wants to get out more than anything. But the problem is it doesn't really sound like there's a ton of teams interested in John Gibson right now. So today we're going to be taking a look at the one recent rumor we heard and why it's a little bit interesting. So, obviously, you guys have already seen the thumbnail. I've already made it. You guys already have seen John Gibson and the Flyers logo in the same picture. And it's definitely interesting to consider because you consider that John Gibson, for a long time, has been rumored to be going to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you may be wondering, what is the significance of that, right? John Gibson to the Penguins. Yes, we know that rumor's been there for a while, but why? What is the link between the two? Why would that be something interesting? And now, the twist of him maybe going to the cross-state rivals there in the Keystone State, what significance does that have? So, John Gibson, let's start off with John Gibson. John Gibson this season has a decent, his numbers are decent, a .909 save percentage, a 2.86 goals against average, and despite everything that's kind of been going on, he still played 20 games this season. He's got 20 games under his belt, 18 starts, only one game where Lucas Dostal got pulled. So it's one of those things where for Gibson, it's been rough. Like a .909 save percentage on this current Ducks team isn't actually that bad. The problem with the Ducks is obviously they are not really the type of team at this stage that's ready to compete for the playoffs. They don't have a great defense right now. They're in a state of a rebuild. So when you look at the numbers here for John Gibson, a .909 on this current team, the expectation is that's actually pretty good. Now, we look at John Gibson, okay? He's 31 years old. He's going to be playing in his 500th NHL game here soon. He's at 496 games played with the Anaheim Ducks. He started his career in 2013 with the Anaheim Ducks. So he's been there for over a decade, which is insane when you really think about it. He's been there for a long, long time. And for the Ducks to trade this guy, I think the pill is easier to swallow just because of the fact that they have Lucas Dostal, who's the new shiny toy that everybody's kind of excited for. But here's the other thing, and this goes back to the teams we are talking about today in question for who could acquire John Gibson. He is a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native, and that is why he has had so many links to going to the Penguins. The Penguins have clearly needed a goalie. They just waived Tristan Jarry. They don't even care what happens at that point with that situation. They're ready to let that go. And that's why there's been so much discussion about him maybe going to Pittsburgh, because they desperately need a goalie. They're trying to get one last Stanley Cup ring with the core three of Letang, Crosby, and Malkin. And adding a goalie like John Gibson, Pittsburgh native, he would love nothing more than to win a Stanley Cup with the Penguins, right? That's what we think. But they haven't been able to work out a deal yet. And maybe this is something that fast tracks that sort of situation, because if the Flyers, where we look at the Philadelphia Flyers, their situation, they're trying to fight for a playoff spot. They're just on the outside looking in. So they are definitely in consideration to be a playoff team. You look at their goalie situation, there's a whole lot going on there. You've had Ivan Fedotov, who's played in 13 games this season. You've had Alexei Kolosov, who, God bless his heart, but he's played 15 games this season, and he's only, so he's gotten pulled 4 times this season already. He has an .870 save percentage, 3.45 goals against average. He is getting nuked in Philly. It is a really rough situation. The fans have been on him. You know, Tortorella doing what Tortorella does can sometimes be difficult, and that's been exemplified a couple times. and Sam Urson, who is playing his best, who is the best of the three right now. He's played 25 games this season. He has 14 wins, and he has an .892 save percentage, a 2.70 goals against average. That is your best goalie. That is your starting goaltender. Sub 900 save percentage, letting in almost 3 goals a game. You could see where under a John Tortorella team in particular, that could definitely be an issue. And that's kind of what's happened with the Philadelphia Flyers. And that's why the rumors about John Gibson maybe being a good fit for the Flyers, it does work. It does line up pretty well. As much as it probably is not the thing that Penguins fans want to hear, it does make a lot of sense when you think about it. And when we consider the whole situation around John Gibson, this is a guy that I think for everybody's sake, we all kind of want to see him move forward. Because it sounds like the Ducks, this is a perfect win-win for everybody, right? Like John Gibson, he knows that his time in Anaheim is pretty much done. This team is not, he's never going to play another playoff game with the Anaheim Ducks. And at this point, it's just a matter of the Ducks finding some value to get back in return for this guy, which is a shame because we know when John Gibson was in peak form, he was going to the All-Star game every year. He was one of the Ducks superstars, won the William Jennings in 2016, I think, 2017, when the Ducks were really good, going to the conference finals a couple years. John Gibson was a part of that. And I think when he's at his best with a team that's out there that can help him, he's still a very reliable goaltender. He's had some injury issues and things like that over the years, but for the most part, he has been able to stay healthy. He's a pretty good goalie. I think at this point, it's mindset over anything. And it's not one of those things where, sometimes you think about, like, is this a guy that needs to change his scenery? Yes, that is definitely the case here for Gibson, but I think a lot of his issues are external things he doesn't have full control over. If you put him in a situation, in an environment that's different, in an environment that he can thrive, where he's going to find success, I think a lot of the internal things are okay with Gibson where he will find that success. And I don't know, maybe I'm just coat riding here on John Gibson, but I really like what he's done over his career with the Ducks. And I think the Flyers are a really good fit here for him. And I think that what the Ducks or what the Flyers have is definitely something that you can look at and say there are guys available on the Flyers that would definitely be interesting to a team like the Ducks. I mean, you have some maybe lower level prospect. I mean, you have Bobby Brink, Noah Cates, Morgan Frost, Tyson Forster. There's a couple of interesting guys that really haven't rounded third per se in their NHL careers, and you wonder if a change of scenery could maybe in an opportunity that's a little bit, they might get more opportunity with a team like the Anaheim Ducks than under Tortorella and the Flyers. It's definitely something interesting to consider. And I think that the Ducks would be willing to make that type of move. Now, obviously, in a deal in a return for John Gibson, you're probably not getting a first-round pick. You're probably not getting the top prospects or anything like that. You're not getting Michkov or Tippett or anybody like that. But it's definitely interesting as to what maybe the Ducks are looking for in return here. There's been a lot of rumors about Rasmus Ristolainen. And you wonder if a guy like Risto with the Ducks, who are trying to be bigger, a beefier team, you had a guy like Risto to that definitely could fit. But then from the Flyers' perspective, well, now you're doing addition by subtraction and trading out Ristolainen. Well, now that leaves a hole on your blue line. So yeah, you got your goalie, but now you have a hole on your blue line that when you're trying to make that playoff push, you really can't afford to lose. So there's a lot of interesting things that could be in consideration here. But like I said, I think that the Ducks are going to look for some kind of solution to it. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you guys think of the rumors around John Gibson maybe going to the Flyers? Because I think it would definitely be an interesting perspective. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out our merch shop in the description down below if you're interested in any of our merchandise. We've got a whole line of goal line hockey stuff. And yeah, that's going to do it for today, guys. And I'll see you again next time. Peace.